While Democrats are complaining about this lengthy hearing and about President Trump coming in and slashing and reducing the size of government, I just want to say let the purge begin, because there's people that are homeless right now in western North Carolina, eastern Tennessee, Georgia, and it's not, misinformation is not the most dangerous thing facing us. It's right now pretty much the federal government and the failure to the American people. Ms. Criswell, in FEMA's, first off, let's put this up. This is the strategic plan you have posted on the FEMA website. The goal and objectives laid out in the 2022-2026 strategic plan will help ensure success for our agency, the emergency management community, and those we serve. The plan outlines 3 bold, ambitious goals to meet this challenge. You have listed as number 1, instill equity as a foundation of emergency management. 2, lead whole of community in climate resilience. 3, promote and sustain a ready FEMA and prepared nation. Ms. Criswell, in FEMA's strategic plan document that you crafted, you say, and I quote, "We must instill equity as a foundation of emergency management. Systems that foster inequality serve no one, especially in times of crisis. We must recognize that disasters affect individuals and communities differently, commit ourselves to reducing barriers to access, and deliver equitable outcomes for all whom we serve." The document adds, underserved communities as well as specific identity groups often suffer disproportionately from disasters. However, thanks to whistleblowers that came out, we found out that Trump supporters were also suffering, apparently worse than others, because their homes were skipped over. And I know you said that you fired the employee that skipped the homes of Trump's, that had Trump signs. But, you know, we don't believe that was a one-time incident. And now we know there's another whistleblower that has come forward and said that this happened in another state. And you see, the reason why Americans don't believe this is a one-time situation is because they're used to being treated as if they're second-class citizens by the Biden administration. Not only has this happened in FEMA, when they were suffering under horrific conditions after this hurricane, it's happened through the Department of Justice, where the Department of Justice has been used against pro-life activists, parents holding their school boards accountable, and people that protested the election on January 6th. This Biden administration, as a matter of fact, you talk about equity, has treated half of this country in our beliefs and how we feel completely unequitable. So on that note, I also want to bring up that you also said, in administering our mitigation programs, we will keep equity considerations top of mind and will include them in the competitive scoring process for programs such as flood mitigation assistance. What exactly is this scoring process that you use when you are choosing organizations to give FEMA funds to?
Congresswoman, we have a number of competitive grant programs that provide assistance across a variety of areas. The ones that you are speaking of are part of our mitigation program, where we want to build resilience in these communities so they can be stronger against some of the impacts from the severe weather events we're seeing. But we know that many communities don't have paid staff to write grants. They don't have the resources to be competitive against the larger urban areas. And so we want to make sure everybody, again, has access to the programs that we offer and that we reduce those barriers to make sure that they come in on a level playing field and can get access to make their communities stronger.
Well, in the fiscal year of 2023, FEMA spent nearly $1 billion, $789 million, to shelter illegals in the United States. This past year, it was about $641 million, and this money largely is distributed through NGOs. Here's a whole list of them. I know it may be hard to see from there, but this is a whole list of cities, states, and NGOs that received millions and millions of dollars from FEMA, and this was to house illegal aliens, not Americans, who, by the way, all that money right there, that comes from Americans' bank accounts when they write their checks to pay their taxes. Do you think it's acceptable for billions of American taxpayer dollars to be spent on housing people invading our country, but yet Americans in North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida are still homeless and have yet to fully receive support?
Congresswoman, we have been
Is
directed.
that equitable?
We have been directed by Congress to administer the Shelter and Services Program. If Congress chooses to change that direction, we will follow that law.
Congress is changing that direction, absolutely. We're going to put American citizens first, not migrants, because we don't believe that's equitable. You see, the situation, housing illegal aliens while Americans suffer with Americans' taxpayer dollars, that's not equitable. As a matter of fact, that's the biggest failure that could be ever done to the American people. It's such a failure, it should be treason. And that's how the American people feel. As a matter of fact, regular people are so outraged, they are pissed, furious at the fact that they feel completely failed by FEMA that's funded by their money, and yet their own money went to house illegal aliens that have invaded this country. Americans are dead today because of the failures of our border, and FEMA took care of these people. You see, we can't allow that to happen. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.